Flowers. Flowers are offered with different occasions and have different meanings. It depends on the culture, on the type of flowers, also of the experiences. Remember, last time when you received or offered flowers. And raise your hand if it was because something good happened. Okay. If something bad happened. Interesting. This is what we are going to explore today. Some tangible experiences that we have in our everyday lives. I'm going to analyze them, to unpack their meanings and their patterns, and we'll see how we can change our own mental patterns for a greater benefit. First, we'll see how the same situation has different meanings for different people. A few weeks ago, I received at work some flowers, like these ones. After I received them, I took a picture and I sent an email to my colleagues. And I said, "Thank you for the surprise I received. I didn't expect it and it made my day." Why do you think I received the flowers? Might be a possibility. Raise your hand if you think that something good happened. Okay. If something bad happened? Okay. Interesting. After I sent the email, I received the first response. "My prayers are for you." After, some of my colleagues came and asked me compassionately how I was doing. Later that day, another colleague came and told me, "Gabby, what is with the flowers? People in my department are discussing if you are ill, but they are totally confused because you are at work." Let's start unpack these situations. Let's see the patterns and their meanings. At my workplace, flowers are mainly offered in two main contexts. First, when someone is ill or in hospital, to show compassion for someone who is suffering. This is happening during the school days. And the second one is to thank someone during a ceremony as gratitude for something that they have done, or just to thank them. When I received the flowers, it was on a Tuesday morning. No ceremony. I was surprised to see that the flowers were for me, and they meant recognition for the Monday treat I prepare every week for my colleagues. The surprise came when the experience didn't match with the existent pattern. And in this situation, I also learned that flowers also mean appreciation on a Tuesday morning without any special celebration. Patterns are not meant to be good or bad. It depends on the meaning we attribute to them. And this meaning is triggered by our first emotional response to the experience. We are neurologically wired to the previous experiences. We have conscious patterns, like when we are intentionally engaging in something, when we make decisions, also when we intentionally learn something. And we also have subconscious patterns, like when we take a shower, when we tie our shoelaces, also when we read or write, or sometimes also when we listen. Let's take it this way. How many of you have a driving license and they use it? Raise your hand. Okay, many of you. Try to remember last time when you drove. Might be to come to this event, maybe in the morning, maybe last week. Try to remember how many red lights did you have? How many green lights? How many times did you change the gears? Signalized. Were you intentionally engaged in these actions? Or you were doing them just because you know how to do them? You've been driving for so many years. You don't have to pay attention. The biologist Bruce Lipton says in his book, The Biology of Belief, that we are intentionally engaging in what we do for only 5 to 11 minutes per day. The rest of the time, we are on our autopilot. Our subconscious patterns are running our lives. And this is okay. It depends on the quality of the patterns we have, if they serve us or not. Even if we have just 5 to 11 minutes, we can use them to change a pattern that doesn't help us and to replace it for a greater benefit. But how we are going to do this? We have two possibilities. A big emotional impact or repetition. A big emotional impact might be when someone has a heart attack. And after the heart attack, the person changes his or her lifestyle or starts to cherish life. Before the heart attack, the person might think, life is too short. Sugar is my best friend. It's giving me energy to do everything I want. And after the heart attack, the person might think, eating healthy will help me see my children grow up. And we support the person might change his or her lifestyle. A big emotional impact might change someone's mental patterns, either for the good or for the bad. It depends on the meaning we attribute to them. Let's take it this way. When I was 6 years old, my neighbor's dog bit me, and I became afraid of dogs. When I was 12, another dog bit me, and I became terrified of dogs. I was living in a country with stray dogs. Whenever I saw a dog, my brain froze. I wasn't able to tell the difference between a friendly dog and a dog ready to attack. I felt like an antelope in the savannah, chased by lions. I crossed 6-lane streets without checking right and left. I was running for my life. Was I? In the city jungle, I was trying to kill myself in order to avoid the puppy. I realized that I had to do something about it. My patterns in these situation changed. Before the first bite, I believed that dogs were my friends, and I was playing with them. After the second bite, I was convinced that they were my enemies, and I didn't want to be around them. This type of changing mental patterns is not in our control, and we don't know how it will end. There is another way in which we can change mental patterns, and this is practice, repetition. We need repetition to strengthen the connections in our brains, to create high-speed highways. By reinforcing a new pattern, by reinforcing a new experience, we create a new pattern. Let's see how I change in this situation with the dogs from dogs are my enemies to many dogs are friendly? First, I had to find the reason of doing this. What's my why? And my why and my reason in this situation was to stay alive. After I analyzed all the dogs I knew, and I realized that my fear wasn't based on the reality. Almost all the dogs I knew were friendly, and they just wanted to play. After I started imagining myself walking around the dogs, and in my imagination, nothing was happening. No barking, no chasing, no biting. At the beginning, even imagining myself walking around dogs was terrifying. But after a while, my brain got used to it, and I started to accept a new meaning. After I started to practice in real life, and I did this process over and over again. It took me 1 year to be able to walk confidently around the dogs, and a lot of reinforcement. We have to reinforce the new patterns, or the old patterns will still occur. It takes at least 21 days for the brain to accept the new meaning. Do you wait in your life for a big emotional impact? Or do you do something that you have power over? Sometimes we didn't get the second chance. My father didn't. After a heart attack, he died. He didn't get a chance to see his children graduating, to meet his nephews, to come to my wedding. Today, you heard many inspirational speeches about our next steps. If you were to think of a pattern you would like to change and would bring an impact to your own lives, what would that be? Let's take now 30 seconds and reflect. Great. Now, let's take 30 seconds and let's share our decisions with the people next to us. Congratulations! The first step is done. Now it's your choice how you allow this process to happen. Remember, you still have 10 minutes today to do something about it. We are free to choose, but we are not free from the consequences of our choices. Thank you.